Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the city of Syracuse on Sicily and its interesting history and epic coinage, especially the famous signed masterpieces by Kimon and Euainetos. The coin images I use in this video are from the auction company Roma Numismatics in London, and I would also take this opportunity to thank them for allowing me to film the beautiful Euainetos tetradrachm during the viewing hours just before auction 25 took place in September of 2022. Syracuse was founded in 734 or 733 by the Greek settlers from Corinth and Tenea, led by the colonizer Archias. There are many attested variants of the name of the city, but the most acceptable theory is that the Phoenicians called it Sur-ha-Kusim, which means stone of the seagulls, from which the name of Syracuse is derived. The settlement of Syracuse was a planned event, as a strong central leader, Archias, the aristocrat, laid out how property would be divided up for the settlers, as well as plans for how the streets of the settlements would be arranged. The nucleus of the ancient city was a small island of Ortygia. The city grew and prospered and for some time stood as the most powerful Greek city in the Mediterranean. The descendants of the first colonists, called Gamoroi, held power until they were expelled by the lower class of the city, assisted by Silurians, enslaved natives similar in status to the Helots of Sparta. The Gamoroi, however, returned to power in 485 BC thanks to the help of Gelo, ruler of Gela. Gelo himself became the new despot of the city and moved many inhabitants of Gela, Camarina and Megara to Syracuse. His program of new constructions included a new theatre designed by Demokopos, which gave the city flourishing cultural life. This, in turn, attracted personalities as Aeschylus, Ari of Methymna, and Emeleus of Corinth. The enlarged power of Syracuse made it unavoidable to clash against the Carthaginians, who ruled the western part of Sicily. In the Battle of Himera, Gelo, who had allied with Theron of Agrigento, decisively defeated the African force led by Hamilcar. A temple dedicated to Athena was erected in the city to commemorate the event. Syracuse grew considerably during this time. Its walls encircled 120 hectares in the 5th century, but as early as the 470s BC, the inhabitants started building outside the walls. The complete population of its territory approximately numbered 250,000 inhabitants in 415 BC, and the population size of the city itself was probably similar to Athens. Gelo was succeeded by his brother Hiero, who fought against the Etruscans at Cumae in 474 BC. A new democratic regime was introduced by Thrasybulos in 467 BC. The city continued to expand in Sicily, fighting against the rebellious Siculi, and on the Tyrrhenian Sea, making expeditions up to Corsica and Elba. During the Peloponnesian War in the late 5th century BC, Syracuse found itself at war with Athens, who attacked the city with a major naval force. The Syracusans enlisted the aid of a general from Sparta to boost the morale of the defenders of the city. They finally succeeded to destroy and capture almost the Athenian fleet. The effects of the defeat were immense. 200 ships and thousands of soldiers, an appreciable portion of the Athens' total manpower, were lost in a single stroke. As many as 40,000 Athenian soldiers were captured or killed. Dionysos was one of the major figures in Greek and European history. His rise to power was set in motion by the fact that the Athenians had been defeated in 413 BC. He was a champion of the struggle between the Greeks and the superpower of Carthage for Sicily, and was the first to bring the war into the enemy's territory. He transformed Syracuse into the most powerful city in the Greek world and made it the seat of an empire stretching from Sicily across to Italy. Because of his achievements in the war against Carthage, that began in 409 BC, he was elected supreme military commander in 406 BC, and in the following year he seized total power and became the new tyrant of Syracuse. It is interesting to note that military successes and the building of new power structures tend to attract craftsmen, artists, scientists who thrive and are nourished by the dynamic environment and the large influx of new population groups and the wealth that the conquest of war bring. And the events of Syracuse followed the traditional pattern and attracted eminent artists and famous die engravers from all across the Mediterranean. For centuries, coin collectors has expressed their enthusiasm of the beauty of the Syracusan coinage. These coins are praised as the peak of all Greek numismatics. In fact, they are said to be more beautiful than any other coin made to this day. In any debate on which coins from this short period are the most significant, you always hear the names of two incomparable die cutters, Kimon and Euainetos. And Kimon's name will always be mentioned first. He is considered the greatest artist ever to have made a coin, having created designs that have been imitated for over 2.5 millennia. These two masters brought about a stylistic revolution, breathing life into the static, rigid forms of archaic art and developing a new way of depicting motion on a miniature scale. When Euainetos designed his Arethusa with her long curly hair with dolphins around the head, he created one of the central archetypes of numismatics. In this video, I will focus on this depicted tetradrachm signed by the master Euainetos, sold by Roman Numismatics on their auction number 25 in 2022. Beside Kimon, Euainetos was the most famous of these master engravers, who were also responsible for an array of magnificent classical tetradrachms. It is rather significant that he signed his dies or that he was allowed to do so, which is a testament to his high status as an artist. No other surviving art object from this period are signed. On this tetradrachm, struck around 410 BC, the obverse die is signed by Euainetos. His signature can be glimpsed inscribed on the panel held aloft by Nike, the Greek goddess of victory, over a dramatic depiction of a chariot race. The panel is inscribed in Greek aineto. The obverse of the tetradrachms and decadrachms depicts a victorious quadriga, which is a chariot driven by 4 horses. The Gamoroi, the wealthy noble families of the city, regularly send teams and athletes to the Olympic Games, and it is also proven that many Olympic athletes came from Syracuse. Perhaps that's why a central element of the coin design is Nike, the goddess of victory, who is crowning the charioteer or the horses. This design is not alluding to any particular victory. The die cutters intended to present the inherent victoriousness of Syracusans as a sign of divine favor. Their triumphs at Olympia proved that the city had self-support, which also expected to manifest in the form of military victories. Perhaps that's why the decadrachms depicts a hoplite's equipment, armor, greaves and a helmet below the victorious chariot. The thundering motion of the horses, the ancient equivalent to today's Formula 1, is captured by the master engraver with their legs depicted in an amazingly naturalistic style. The image captures a climatic moment of potential catastrophe. While the chariot is pulled forward at full speed, the outside horse is breaking away from the other 3, stretching out its neck, the reins trailing dangerously below and threatening to entangle the legs of the rest of the team. It is testament to the quality of the specimen that the fine reins are visible, as they are on the British Museum example. The charioteer stands alert to the danger, poised with tension, pulling back the reins and extending the goad, while Euainetos' authentic style powerfully engaged the viewer in the race. The outcome is never in doubt. The presence of Nike soaring in from above to crown the charioteer shows victory is assured. The reverse of the coin is dominated by Arethusa, that unique symbol of divine favor, which the Syracusans worshipped with a cultish devotion. After all, the freshwater fountain on the island of Ortuga, surrounded by the sea, was of crucial military importance. A fortress with an abundant supply of fresh water is difficult to conquer, something that both the Carthaginians and the Romans had to learn. The safe havens of Ortuga are reflected in the dolphin surrounding the head of the nymph on the coin, just as in reality the sea surrounded the island of Ortuga with its Arethusa fountain. Both the quadriga and Arethusa herself were adapted over the course of Syracusan coinage to suit the beauty standards of the Syracusan citizens. Arethusa, in particular, changed from an archaic classical beauty ideal into an almost portrait-like figure. The die cutter Kimon, about whom we know very little, except that he was active from around 415 to 390 BC, struck a perfect balance between vivid beauty and stylization, making his portraits the incarnation of Greek artistry. On this very rare and beautiful tetradrachm by Euainetos, the head of Arethusa is turned to the left, her hair delicately bound with an ornamented sakos, wearing a double-curved earring and a pearl necklace. Above the head, unfortunately not visible on this coin, the city's name in Greek letters, Syrakosion, and 4 dolphins swimming around the head, 2 swimming clockwise and 2 anti-clockwise. This coin was also published in Coins, Artists and Tyrants, Syracuse in the time of Peloponnesian War by the authors Fishes and Bossett. I hope you find this video interesting, and to help others with a historical and or numismatic interest watch this video, please like, share, comment and subscribe. It is free to subscribe and you don't commit to anything, nor will you receive any unwanted emails or offers from me, and you can, whenever you want, end your subscription. By subscribing, liking and sharing, you help YouTube's and Google's algorithms to rank up this video and thus make it easier for others with a similar interest to view this video. Also, make sure to hit the notification bell to get notified when I publish new video on YouTube. Thank you for watching.